does it make sense to talk about the 10 best Zapier alternatives? Zapier is the de facto standard for API integration for small and medium-sized businesses. There are many reasons why this is so. They were the first successful standard API integrator, they have the most integration options, and the platform is easy to use. But is Zapier always the best for everyone and in every case? Logically, the answer must be no, simply because no product will be best for everybody all the time. So, this video blog explores the top 10 best Zapier alternatives, or rather, we focus on the cases where Zapier might not be your best choice, and we will give you suggestions as to what your best alternative could be. One of Zapier's greatest strengths is also its most significant weaknesses. Its focus on AP is, because an API is great, it enables you to transfer data seamlessly between two systems. They usually cover what you would typically need, but there are always exceptions, either because APIs does not exist, or because the API cannot provide the data you need. Then you are stuck. Because you have no control over how the portals design their API, you can risk that the API does not solve your problem. So what do you do? The two best alternatives to API integrations are not to use an API for your integrations. One easy way of doing this is to do a different kind of integration where you bypass an API. Cognifirm. A smart way of doing this is to use Cognifirm. The Cognifirm integration is done via a free browser plugin. This enables you to access any system automatically the way as if you were a regular user. So if you need to perform tasks that cannot be done via API-driven business logic, then you would use the Cognifirm plugin to do so. Conventional RPA tools. Another way of solving the problem of a lack of a usable API is to use a more conventional robot process automation system, RPA. This approach's advantages would be that you can benefit from a rich business logic that many systems processes. However, the price will be much different from the Cognifirm approach, mostly because you would have to have or buy a running RPA solution, and this system should then be configured to work with your systems without the use of an API. Zapier is the marked leader in automated API integration, and this means that their prices would always be higher than the competitors, simply because their competitors cannot match Zapier on the number of API integrations or the tech development they have put into making their platform run smooth, so a competitor can only compete on price. If you are willing to miss out on the span of possible APIs or do not need advanced integration options, it could be relevant to look for cheaper alternatives. The two best alternatives that are cheaper but still offers a fair amount of features are Integrately and Integramat. All apps follow different price steps, so it is not fair to claim that one is always cheaper because that might not be true for your case. That being said, Integrated is about half the price of what you would expect to pay for Zapier. Another cheaper alternative is Integramat. They have a more flat price structure, which means that you have a free option, and you continue with a $9 per month setup. Getting back to Zapier's greatest strength is the ease of implementation, even for a non-tech user. However, this choice means that if you do have a requirement to use advanced business logic, you risk getting trapped in consequence of the simplicity choice that Zapier has made for you. No one likes to make more bespoke development than necessary, but you could end up in situations where it is required to make your business run as you need. The advantages of bespoke development are that you control what you get and how the features function. The downside is the price and the dependency that you build towards your IT supplier. A better way could be to use an RPA tool, especially if you already have installed RPA in your business. Then it would be logical to investigate if it would be a feasible option. If you do not have RPA tools, then it would probably drive a too high overhead if you were to implement it for one use case only. Some businesses are in a situation where they use systems designed especially for their business or use systems designed for their particular niche. If this is your case, then there is a very real risk that this is not standard API available, simply because the user volume is too small or because you will not allow API to communicate with your systems. Such a setup disqualified Zapier and its direct competitors, so you need to look for alternatives. This case leaves you with three options: bespoke development, RPA tools, Cognifirm. We have already discussed the alternatives, so you will get short pros and cons for each of them. The bespoke development leaves you in control, and this could be especially interesting if you did the system development yourself. RPA tools could also be an option. Again, especially if you already have such tools. The last alternative is Cogniform, that lets you do simple and cost-effective integrations between any online-based systems. Some businesses are in a situation where they use systems designed especially for their business or use systems designed for their particular niche. If this is your case, then there is a very real risk that this is not standard API available, simply because the user volume is too small or because you will not allow API to communicate with your systems. Such a setup disqualified Zapier and its direct competitors, so you need to look for alternatives. This case leaves you with three options: bespoke development, RPA tools, Cogniform. We have already discussed the alternatives, so you will get short pros and cons for each of them. The bespoke development leaves you in control, and this could be especially interesting if you did the system development yourself. RPA tools could also be an option. Again, especially if you already have such tools. The last alternative is Cogniform, that lets you do simple and cost-effective integrations between any online-based systems. We hope these reflections on the 10 best Zapier alternatives were of use to you. If not, you still have one option left, and that is to use Zapier.